We all know that President Biden was asking the Prime Minister, tell me your plan for the day after in Gaza, almost as if one should write the conclusion of the book before even outlining the chapters, before even knowing of the challenges. One of the most important questions surrounding the current war is, however, what will be the future of the people, the land, the policies, and the governance of the Gaza Strip? What will happen to Gaza's residents? Who will rule? Who will manage? Who will provide services? How will the Strip be rebuilt, and by whom? To address the day after in Gaza, I invite to the stage Dr. Dan Diker, President of the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs, along with Oded Ailam, former head of the Counterterrorism Division in the Mossad and currently a JCFA researcher, Yifa Segal, Managing Director of Chetz for Israel, and veteran reporter and senior fellow, a person who knows no fear when it comes to speaking the truth, Arab and Palestinian Affairs senior fellow at JCFA, Khaled Abu Toameh. Please come forward.
Everyone's still awake. It's wonderful to see. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Richard. Richard said it very well. Sometimes we have a tendency in Israel and the West to engage in solutionism. What's the outcome? What's the day after? And the reality in Gaza, I think, as everyone here, I think everyone in the room understands, because this is certainly highly educated and deeply understanding room in this family meeting, that anything but the day after of Gaza is right now. What do we do now? What's the reality now? What are the challenges now? There are so many nuances and complexities to the situation in Gaza that people know, between crime families, mafia groups. Hamas is still well entrenched in power, that we first have to ask the right questions, as my teacher, Professor Bernard Lewis, used to say. Ask the right question to solicit the right directions and in answers. And I think the issue of Gaza that we'll discuss now, and we only have 17 minutes, so I'm going to stop within 30 seconds, is to say that there's an operational aspect to Gaza, I would say, between the Trump vision and Egypt's response operationally, and then there's the conceptual, cognitive issue of Gaza. What President Trump did with one declaration was to completely uproot decades of what we call Palestinian illusionism that has filtered into the West, that you have to solve the rights of the Palestinians, or that the Palestinian issue is key to bringing regional stability and security. So we have the tension between the conceptual, what they say, toda'ati, cognitive understanding, and the operational understanding. Khaled, we had a podcast at JNS where we just talked about some of these really serious limitations, constraints. And one thing you said that really stuck out in my mind is, Dan, do it quietly. Don't make big announcements about Gaza. Tell us what you mean from a point of view of political culture and Gaza that we have to understand.
Well, Dan, I was referring to the Trump vision for Gaza. And first of all, I mean, I would like to tell you that I talk to a lot of people in Gaza, and I've been talking to them for many years. I mean, I used to go spend a lot of time in Gaza. in the good old days before peace. But when you talk to people in Gaza these days, I mean, you know, it's their dream to leave Gaza. But here's the problem. The problem is that when it comes from Trump, or it comes from Israel, or from Europe, it doesn't look good. It actually embarrasses those who really want to leave, because it looks more like a conspiracy, a plot by the Americans and the Zionists to empty Gaza. So what I'm saying is the following. If you want such a plan to succeed, you need to, first of all, have a real plan and not just a statement here and there. And that's how Palestinians see it. And number two, you need to work quietly on such a plan behind the scenes. You need to coordinate it with Arab countries. You need to talk to other parties. You cannot just throw a sentence here and there at a press conference and then assume that, you know, people will accept it. So that's what I meant when I said that, you know, in the Middle East, you need to understand the nuances, you need to understand Arab culture. You can't just throw things like that and assume that it will succeed. So that's what I was referring to. Now, I look at the situation today, and by the way, again, talking to people in Gaza, hundreds of people are leaving every week. They're going to different places through Israel and through the border with Egypt. They're going for medical treatment, that's what it's called. But there is a movement out of Gaza, and no one is able to stop it. On another note, Dan, what is important, and I'm here talking on a personal note, we are, I think, 20 months after the war, and I'm personally disappointed. I'm disappointed because I see that Israel has failed to achieve its two goals. I don't see an Israeli strategy also. Where is this leading? I also see that Hamas is still there. Okay, they've lost a lot of their military capabilities, and they've lost many of their men, but Hamas still exists as a governing body, as a party that is in control of Gaza in one way or another. And no one really seems to know what's going to happen in Gaza.
Yeah, it's a big question mark. Yifa, how do you see it? You see the Trump vision as possible? I mean, Khaled has said, and I know that Oded and I have talked, that it's possible, it's starting to happen, but right now it looks like a stalemate, a big question mark, no operative plan, nothing really moving forward, wait and see.
Yes, and I think it's an Israeli problem, but it's a part of the more general Western problem. We want to see, it goes to what Richard was saying, we want to understand what it will look like at the very end, right? I mean, fast forward, okay, let's see the end of the movie, it's okay, let's go back now see the movie. Not how it works. So I think Trump plan, maybe it's a possibility, but I want to talk about what we should do in the interim, because, you know, we've written plans about the day after in Gaza. We did it together also with my colleague and friend Maurice Hirsch and the IDSF. But we wrote something that I think is more important, which is what we should do today, or, excuse me, what we should have been doing yesterday. Yeah. So I think that, first of all, the reality in Gaza doesn't allow for anything to happen, because as long as Hamas is in control, you can't implement anything. No one can come out and have the courage or the stupidity, right, of actually going against Hamas openly and doing something that is organized. So I think it's important to do something in the interim. We've called it an administrative, a humanitarian administration. It doesn't have to, you know, it doesn't have to be applied to the entire Gaza Strip on the very first day. You start small, you start in an area that you can control potentially, right? In the northern part of Gaza, you can build like a refugee city. UNHCR does it all over the world. You create an area that is clear of Hamas. You take away from Hamas the control of the humanitarian aid, which is a source of power of Hamas. It gives them money, it gives them supplies, and it gives them control over the civilian population. So if you do it one step at a time, but start already, start today, start yesterday, create a situation where you're in control of the humanitarian aid, where you can start bringing Gazans into your side. You can start telling Gazans, bring us our hostages back and we'll give you refuge or money or whatever because we have a safe zone for you inside the Gaza Strip. Then you can start talking about maybe people can start leaving in greater masses from Gaza. Maybe you can apply a long-term plan. But I think the first thing that we should do is look at the humanitarian situation as a very important source of leverage and power, and implement it, slowly but surely, and start making a difference as soon as possible.
Thank you, Yifa. It's interesting.
Thank you.
There goes 5 seconds. Colonel John Spencer, who's a JCFA advisor, also said exactly what you said, clear and hold, neighborhood by neighborhood. And then you, Khaled, you've made this point before, you actually encourage and energize the confidence of the public in Gaza that there is a new sheriff in town, that's Israel, they'll get humanitarian aid, there's no more Hamas in that particular neighborhood, and you move one to the other.
Dan, just one more sentence to complete my earlier statements. One of the complaints I'm hearing from many Palestinians in Gaza is, why is Trump offering us Egypt and Jordan? Why doesn't he come with a better offer?
Qatar.
Greenland.
Yeah, no, offer us the US, Canada, somewhere else, but why do you want to send me to Egypt and Jordan? The economy is bad, there's no work there. So people are expecting something, but they're expecting a better offer.
Very good. Oded. The first phone call that the Taliban received in 2021 as they chased American airplanes down the runway at Kabul was from Ismail Haniyeh, congratulating them on the end of the American occupation of Afghanistan and now praying for the victory in what they call Palestine. Help us understand the implications of Gaza, not only for the immediate territorial aspect, but for the Middle East and the Muslim world at large and the West.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's a great honor to be here. I served 24 years in the Mossad, and if I can give you one advice, is get rid of your beepers. As to your question, then, if this war ends as the Hamas is still in power in Gaza, and I'm not talking about governing Gaza, because they are already ready to submit it to anyone who is willing to take Gaza, but they try to copy-paste the model of Hezbollah in Lebanon, which means, okay, there is a government, but in fact, we dictate everything that happens in Lebanon. I'm talking before Nasrallah joined the 72 virgins. Now, the thing is that Israel must end this campaign with a decisive annihilation of any capacity, military and otherwise, of the Hamas. Because if it will not happen, this will echo around the world as the biggest jihadist victory ever. It will echo in communities in Dearborn, it will echo in London, it will echo in Saint-Denis, and it will echo everywhere. Because the jihadist theme that was initiated by the Muslim Brotherhood, by Al-Banna, was we don't want a state, we don't want to independent entity. We want to inflict the Sharia all over the world. And if the Hamas stays on its feet after this decisive military campaign, which I called the world's first digital war, we send a very, very negative message to anyone in the West, and it will be the first accord of the requiem of the Western civilization. So it's important that we not any way give to some sort of concession that maintain the power of Hamas intact.
Oded, thank you. Khaled, going forward, if you were advising the Prime Minister right now about what to do in Gaza, because it's clear that there's so many open questions, what would you advise him to do right now?
Well, Israel should have done the following a long time ago and not wait until now. There's only one way to get rid of Hamas or to remove Hamas from power. It's by creating an alternative authority or power in Gaza. And there's only one country that can do it right now, and it's Israel. The only way to remove Hamas from power is by military force, and Israel is the only country that can do it. Israel should have done to Hamas what Hamas did to the Palestinian Authority in 2007. In 2007, I was in Gaza. What did Hamas do? They woke up in the morning, and back then there were less than 12,000 members. They dragged a number of Palestinian Authority people to the streets. They lynched them. They threw some of them from the rooftops, and they immediately announced, "We are the new government in Gaza." They staged a coup. What happened? Immediately after that announcement, even the Palestinian Authority that had 45 or 50,000 security officers surrendered. Because the assumption was, there's a new sheriff in town. Had Israel gone into Gaza shortly after October 7, created a temporary military government, that would have, first of all, sent a message to the Palestinians that the previous government is finished, Hamas is finished. And number two, when a Palestinian in Gaza sees that you are there and you're not leaving in 2 and 3 days, this Palestinian will feel confident enough to walk up to you and say, Hamas is there, the hostages are there. And that has not happened. This is the only way.
It can happen, though. It can, Yifa. It can happen now. And Israel, to clarify, because you're an international lawyer, Israel does not, what? Guilty. Does not have the requirement to supply humanitarian aid to Gaza according to international law, correct? After having been invaded by
Yes, 100%.
Gaza.
I mean, there is no precedent in the history of warfare in the entire world that says that you must feed your enemies. I mean, the international law is talking about you cannot starve the civilian population. That's completely different from, there is no obligation, obviously, to supply your enemies with food and medicine. That's very clear. Of course, there is a different interpretation when it comes to Israel, in any issue, right? They will go through, they will create dangerous precedents in the world just to delegitimize Israel. We see how they talk about, people from, you must know this and you must know this. People come from militaries all over the world to come to Israel and they say, oh my God, I mean, these precedents that the international community is trying to apply will get all of us in trouble. We won't be able to wage warfare ever again anymore. Because, and I tell them, don't worry, there's one bar for Israel and another one for all the rest of you, so it doesn't matter what kind of,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oded, we have 1 minute and 18 seconds left, and I'm going to be electrocuted if we don't stop on time. Give us a parting thought, intelligence strategy, parting-wise, on Gaza, because it still remains a question mark, and we want to put an exclamation mark on it.
I see only 2 options that are feasible right now. I don't see the relocation as feasible right now, although it's a very strong and powerful statement that had to be made. The only option right now is to occupy all of Gaza militarily and starting to cut the grassroots in order to allow some sort of a governing system and the Palestinians themselves to overcome the Hamas. I don't see right now any other alternatives, and definitely not to accept the Hamas terms of surrender.
Quick comment, Yifa?
Yeah, I just want to say that, we keep thinking about, well, can we empty Gaza, 2 million people, 1.8 million people? We shouldn't think like that. I mean, open the gates, and let's see how many people get out. I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll get rid of half the problem. Maybe we'll get rid of everybody, maybe just a little bit, but who knows? I mean, we keep thinking about why opening the gates. We don't know if everyone's going to get out. Let's try. Let's start.
Goodness, it's not so far-fetched, but I think the key issue, the key policy prescription here, and with this we end, do it and do it quietly, because it's very clear that none of the Arab ambassadors in Tel Aviv have left their positions since October 7th, and what happened and what is not said and not done in the Arab world is as much a signal as what is said and done in the Arab world.
No, by the way, it is mandatory. International law requires you to allow people to escape, war zones. So it is actually completely legal to just let people leave if they want to leave. That's it.
And here we have that possibility. Thank you all so very much. We're 41 seconds over. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks, Khaled.